Okay.
Hello, welcome to the Black Rockers United Black Rock Her Roundtable discussion. My name is Kim Metal, and I am Media Director for Black Rockers United, and I'm joined with my co-host, Nicole Cowley. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, world. This is Nicole Kali, fellow Brew Media. Thank you for introducing me, Kim Metal, keeping it real as always.
Mm-hmm.
It is good to see you all, and thanks for joining our first Black Her Roundtable.
Mm-hmm. And we are also joined by our distinguished guest panelists. Each one is a beautiful woman of color in the rock and metal scene, all Black women, all doing their thing. And I would like Militia to introduce herself.
Hi, how are you? I'm Militia. I don't know. I've come to blow up your life. I've come to destroy you sonically. That's all.
Okay. And Honey Child Coleman.
I'm Honey Child Coleman. I live in Brooklyn. I've known most everybody here for quite a while, in real life and social media, and I'm very honored to be among such an esteemed panel of sisters repping for the rock.
And Gabby.
Hey, my name is Qatar Gabby. I'm the founder, manager, lawyer, and front woman of the International Black Female Rock Collective called The To It.
Yes. Okay. And Meredith. Okay. And last but not least, Meredith.
Hello. My name is Meredith Bell. I am the lead singer of Palace Burn, a hard rock unit out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And you probably most notably saw me very recently singing for Chris Jericho for All Elite Wrestling a long time ago, back in February 2020. So, yes, I am very, very excited and very, very honored to be here.
Thank you, ladies, for introducing yourselves. So, what we wanted to accomplish with this live stream today was to bring Black women in the industry, metal industry, together to share their stories and experiences. And we wanted to celebrate Women's History Month and International Women's Day also. So this was very special to get all of you ladies here together. We named this the Black Rock Her for a reason, because I feel like very rarely do Black women in the metal industry and the rock industry and punk industry get a chance to have a platform to express themselves and to have their stories heard in spaces where they're not questioned or challenged. And I think it's very important that we, Black Rockers United, provided that space. And this is very special for us. So I wanted to ask each of you ladies, what was something that you did to celebrate International Women's Day, which was this past Monday?
I masturbated.
I love it.
I was like,
self-care.
Right, there you go.
The most metal answer.
I'm so mischievous. I had to. I'm sorry. I don't know. What did I do? Nothing. I've been doing interviews. I guess that's just talking about my experience as a woman in music, or woman in life, or woman in in the stratosphere and the multiverse. But that's it. I mean, I don't know. I'm a woman 365 days out of the year, so this month is kind of just I just go, but it's nice to see other people's stories, and hear other people's stories during this time, or you see women supporting women online and stuff like that. It's cool if we could just support each other in real life the way we do online. Exactly. That would be something.
How about you, Meredith?
Honestly, it was just so great to see other people's stories. Just like Militia was saying, just being able to support other women, and not only women themselves, but either they're male partners or non-binary or that sort of thing. Just really uplifting you know, their partners and showing how much that they mean to them and like how strong they are and how like their tenacity and, you know, their just strength. That was absolutely beautiful to see. So yeah, that was really the biggest thing for me, just seeing other people's stories.
Mm-hmm. And how about you, Gabby?
Well, I'm the diversity editor at Guitar Girl magazine, and so I spent the entire day, really the entire like last 2-3 months, just flooding the internet with Black women, non-binary musicians that play instruments.
Love
because
it.
y'all need to see us more. You're not seeing us enough, and some of y'all like to act brand new on us when we step into the scene. So I felt like it would be easier if they see us, you know, more often. And plus, I think it's also really good inspiration for us, like other Black girls out there that are watching us, or other, you know, Black female artists out there watching us. They want to see what we do, and you know, even though they may never tell us one day, we inspire people. I believe we inspire people every day by simply just existing, and being on social media is like one of the best ways to get to those, you know, those other people out there that needed that, you know, the photo of Meredith scrolling across their time. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I used all of my social media platforms to reshare other people's experiences, and especially in the indie Black world, because we're often so dismissed.
Right.
And I tried to mix it up between women who DJ, women who play instruments, women who compose, women who are scientists. Like I really went in, but just really showing the Black female contribution. I like went extra hard on that day. Even though it's Women's History Month, I've been looking at it as Black Women's History Month, as many people have.
Yes.
So not saying, but just that's what I'm sharing.
I mean, you know, Melanin March, you know, we deserve.
Exactly.
I like that.
Melanin March.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a thing. That needs to be a thing, like now.
Melanin March.
Yeah.
Oh, and follow up with Black History Month too, because it ain't over. It ain't over till we say it over, and it's never over, right?
Right.
And so, Nicole, what did you do to celebrate International Women's Day?
To keep it real with y'all, my grandmother passed away like 12 years ago, like during this month. So it's centered around her and the stuff that she would do. We'll just rock out to like Sarah Vaughan, Dinah Washington, Mother's Finest, all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And then at the end of it all, it's like wrap up, have a margarita, shout out to the fam. Yeah. And celebrate women such as yourselves.
And something I did was I donated to a nonprofit that specializes in wellness and mental health for Black women. They're called Black Women for Wellness Los Angeles. So I just donated money to them because I believe in any organization or any platform that is going to foster wellness with Black women, especially when it's such a desired thing we need right now and it's urgent. I think it's really good. So they deal with like mental health, they deal with education, they also have like birthing services and all of that. So I love that they're what they're doing. So I want to ask you ladies all, like, what has been something that's been uplifting in your lives lately that that you're proud of and that you want to celebrate? I guess I'll start with Honey Child.
I think I wouldn't say it's necessarily lately, but since the start of the pandemic, I started off in a panic, as everybody else did, because all of the hoarding happened and you couldn't find any supplies. So I started making face masks, and being able to make custom things and give them to people and help people feel more comfortable about protecting themselves kind of became my mission for all of last year. Now, then it kind of put me in a point where I started designing again, and that gave me a lot of joy that I'd forgotten about because I hadn't focused on making things and crafts and sewing. And once I started playing music, all that stuff fell to the wayside. So I felt like it was a really cool way to look out for the community, practice activism, and be creative. And now I'm designing protective merch for my bands as well. So like that's kind of like my nerd thing that I enjoy, that I also feel like it's helping And because so many people supported me with it, I've been able to donate a lot. I've been able to donate to different organizations or different people who are just like, people are desperate and it's a really rough time. And like one of our fans had to go into hiding because he's LGBTQ and he's in Brazil. So I've been helping him. So just having the luxury to help somebody else has really helped me feel better about everything and just feel like, okay, this is a really horrible time in history as a woman of color, as a human on Earth. But being able to kind of connect with community in that way has really been joyful for me.
Amazing.
I think that's so cool, Honey Child. I saw your, like, the beginning when you were like making your masks. I was like, look at these fucking masks. And I was so like excited that you were doing that. And it seemed like energizing for you. And like, I was looking forward to your posts about the things that you were making. Like,
Thanks.
you know, tangible things that you were making.
Yeah, and it's just.
Do you still have some? Because I want one.
I have a lot cut. I'm actually, I mean, I don't want to get ahead, but I'm gonna have some at the pop-up show on Sunday if you're around.
Ooh.
The Rebelmatic pop-up.
And I'm not asking you for a free one. I wouldn't do that. I'm just asking.
But like, I literally have. I can make some if it's already made, definitely. But yeah, just being able to do something so simple has really given me a lot of joy. I don't know the other way to describe it. It's kind of like a life during work. Like I thought about my grandparents, like what would they do if this was happening? Like they would help their neighbors. So like I kind of jumped into action with that.
Okay, so how about you, Meredith?
So basically, Palisburn has really been using the pandemic to our advantage. We had never shot a music video before the pandemic happened, and for some reason we were able to churn out 2 of them. So there was 2 songs that we shot music videos for and we released on YouTube. One is for And You Wonder Why They Kneel, which is a song that I wrote about specifically about the Black Lives Matter movement. It was written specifically about Philando Castile, but we weren't able to really release it and that sort of thing, you know, before we broke up. So, you know, when the George Floyd situation happened, it was something where we thought that it was appropriate and we're just like, hey, man, like we really should, you know, speak out against this. And then the other video was for Stars Align, which is like my favorite song to play. I absolutely adore that song. And we're currently writing now for a new album. So we have that going on. Got a ton of new music coming up. And we just got a new drummer. His name is Bon Soma. And I'm so excited to work with him. He's been one of my best friends for almost a decade now. So, yeah, that's, you know, we're just churning it out. It's been like, really, the pandemic has been one of those things where it's like, well, girl, we got to sit down and do nothing.
Get creative.
You know, like, what do we do? So, yeah, it's really worked out to our advantage. So I'm very excited for us to create new content and to just really be creative and just really collaborate, you know, as artists and see what we can churn out for the people.
Okay. And how about you, Gabby?
So within the last few weeks, I stepped on as a contributing writer for Guitar World magazine, and it's been like, yeah, it was one of those things that came from out of nowhere. And at first I was like, all right, I don't know. I got a lot on my plate. I don't know, but this is an opportunity that's not like, you don't just say no thanks. So I said yes. Oh my God, sorry. There's a siren that's passing by. But so I said yes and immediately started thinking about all of the projects and ideas and stories that I wanted to tell when I first started playing guitar. All the questions that I had about where are girls that look like me? Where, like, do they just not exist? Are y'all just not putting them in magazines? If so, why? Just like going through all of those things in my mind from when I was younger. And then I wanted to figure out, you know, because this is such a unique time to be in magazines and in the world of press, I want to use this to my advantage. And I want to use this to something that's going to push and propel everything else forward. And I really love that, because I feel like now I'm on the side of being able to control the narrative of what is put out in the world about Black women, about Black females, non-binary musicians, especially in the rock and roll space. We're always our story on paper to a white man and asking them to please put that correctly with the emotions behind it in a print magazine for more white people to buy. It just don't translate. There's too many steps. So I figure, this could be something that, not only positively affects me and everything that I'm pushing for, but like the other little girls out there that will be able to get on Instagram and a magazine and see all of us in it, because we just are literally that age. And that continues the next generation. Not going to go on my soapbox, but yeah, I'm really passionate about that. So that's something that's been a blessing. Taking up a lot of time, but it's been a blessing. So.
No, the soapbox is, honestly, is welcome here. This is the space, and this is what we wanted. The soapbox is welcome, because we know that this is not a opportunity you guys get a lot, especially with the lack of diversity or the lack of diversity of thought or experiences in the industry. So I wanted to ask Militia if she had something she was proud of, because you just released the Nyctophilia remix, and that was bomb. I loved it.
Thank you.
I am nice.
I am nice. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. Unlike most people, I loved this pandemic. I loved it.
Yes.
I loved it from day one. I did not panic. I was so excited. It felt like it was like the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. It was just it was fine for me. Obviously, I'm not thrilled about the people that we lost during it. I lost some friends, and work associates through this, and friends' parents. So that's the awful part. But the great part is that I was highly productive, because this was the first time in years that I wasn't on the road. So I could have a life and cross off things on my to-do list, so it was very much that. And I just didn't waste any time. I very much was in this groove where I was like, oh shit, right at the beginning, I started journaling, I always wanted to do, and I never did. I would skip days or, skip months or years. And I actually kept a journal during the pandemic. And I got music certificates from Harvard for music.
Awesome.
A music certificate from Berkeley for music. And I finally graduated from college, which is a whole other situation. Thank you. So basically, long story short, I was kicked out of college for insubordination. And we won't go into the details of all of what that was. But suffice it to say, it was fucked up. And I will give you an example of what happened when that tidal wave started picking up speed.
Right.
I was pulled out of class and was given a talking to by the chairman of the theater department that was very upset with me for directing a Black play at the school. And at the time, I didn't understand why he was upset. But now, hindsight being 2020, I go, oh, they were upset about this Black play that I brought to their school. They said, why did you bring this element into our school? And I was like, what element is that? What are they talking about? Because it's controversial? Is that what he means?
Yeah.
No, they didn't mean it that way. It was it was an Amir Baraka play called The Dutchman, which was very controversial back in the day.
The Amir Baraka. Oh yeah.
And they didn't like that. And he said, why didn't you just direct a dinner table comedy? And I was like, a dinner table comedy? What the fuck does he mean by this? And from that moment on, I was enemy number one. And so they ended up kicking me out of school for being, for not following their orders, for being disruptive, right? keep in mind, I'm the only Black student in my class for 4 years, right?
Wow.
So fast forward to like years later, and the people that fucked me over are either dead or retired. And so when I took the class at Harvard, they were like, oh, well, why don't we put some skin in the game? Like, do you want to get a Harvard degree? And I was like, what would I have to do for that? And they're like, oh, you need your transcripts. I was like, yeah, about that. Yeah, I don't have transcripts. I don't even know what they look like. You know, I was kicked out of school and I took my college to court and lost. And they were like, oh, okay, well, let's see what we can do about that. And I talked to the woman who's running the theater department now, and she listened to everything I had to say. And she goes, yeah, we've heard similar stories to this. And I was like, oh, okay. And she goes, we're currently working on decolonizing the school. And I was like, mind blown. Like, I've never heard anyone in administration at an institution use the word decolonize before. Right. So she has purple hair too, so I knew I was talking to the right person. And I was just like, she's gonna do this for me. She's gonna help me. And they did. And I just ordered my cap and gown yesterday.
Yes.
Period.
I love it.
You and are like my degree is like my degree is sitting in a folder like up on the desk. Like I'm just like, yeah, I got that. But I always felt like I got that, you know? I felt like I learned, I mean, I was kicked out 2 weeks before graduation. Like I knew that what was going on with me was wrong, but I couldn't like put it into words, and I couldn't like really speak out about it because I was trying to get my shit. I was trying to get my degree, you know? So like finally now it's like, they're just like, I was like, I sent them an email going like, you know, can we just chalk this up to time served? Here's all the shit that I've done in my career. You know, and they were like, yeah, on behalf of the institution, we sincerely apologize. Here's your degree. And they just gave it to me. And I was like, that's cool. So, but they didn't know, because I used a stage name, obviously, they didn't know that Berkeley had invited me to speak about diversity a mere 4 years ago.
Wow.
So I walked right up into my alma mater, and it wasn't Berkeley, it was Boston Conservatory. I walked right up into my alma mater, and like, they didn't realize that they had kicked me out only a few years before.
But you know what? You're blessed. You're blessed because look how far you came without their degree, and look at where you are now.
Oh, for sure. Like, I don't give a shit. Believe me, it's only to make my parents happy at this point. But I just was not. It was just nice that I got the final word. You know, it was nice that they came through. They delivered the goods, and you know, like I have closure. I can wrap that shit up.
And I feel like in the industry in general, and diversity and inclusion for Black women is a challenge anywhere we go. So when we're speaking about diversity and inclusion in the music industry, especially in rock and metal, do you think now, especially after last year, that the efforts to be inclusive and diverse are performative, or do you think there's like a genuine
it's both
interest? You think it's both? Okay. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, sure. I don't know about y'all, but I can only imagine that your emails were blowing up from January, February, getting ready for Black History Month, because mine was like off the fucking Richter scale this year, where it was like everybody wanted to talk about Black History Month. Everybody was coming out of the woodwork, you know, to do features on me and do these interviews and shit. And I'm just like, you know, I'm still Black like all the other months, right? Like you can talk to me like anytime in the year, you know, but there was this real, like, I had some companies that said, yeah, my boss said, you know, go find talent that meets this description. Or my boss said, you know, look for people that check these boxes, and you check these boxes, so I'm talking to you. Like, they were very direct about it. Or they'd say, like, I had this one heavy metal outlet that said to me, like the month was like, it was like midway through February. And this dude was like, we got to hurry. We got to get on this because, you know, we're running out of time. I was like, oh, you mean like Black History Month is almost over, so you can't feature me like in March? And I was like, I'm good. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about you, Honey Child? Do you think diversity and inclusion, especially for Black women, is either a genuine effort or performative? No.
I would say there's definitely a performative tone happening with some of the indie women-based platforms that never included Black women before. I noticed that they're like, oh yeah, Black History Month. And I'm like, yeah, I've been reaching out to you for like 5 years with crickets, but suddenly it's Black History Month. It's interesting because I feel like all of 2020 really magnified how performative people were with politics. Like, oh, we're about Black lives. Oh, we're about the election. We're about this, we're about that. And then as soon as everything calms down, they go back to their regular lives. So I also work in nightlife, and the other conversation happening there is, oh yeah, when you open back up, will you actually book diverse acts? Because again, unanswered emails, unanswered calls. None of us are spring chickens in this game. We've all been doing stuff for a long time. The fact that we live in these major cities and these bookers ignore us until it works for them is atrocious. So I'm watching to see who's really about it. Truth be told, the only people who seem to be about it that I've worked with personally have been bigger institutions like Mass MoCA and Lincoln Center. Everybody else is talking the talk, but not booking. So I'm very skeptical, to be honest. I'm still like really just relying on the underground because we rep for each other.
Right. The underground is definitely the main support system for us, I believe. How about you, Meredith? Do you feel that diversity and inclusion is being performative, or is it genuine?
Well, especially within our scene, I feel like it's definitely performative. Kind of piggybacking off of what Militia said, you see all these things during Black History Month where it's like, oh yeah, we're supporting Black artists. We want to do all this other sort of stuff and reach out and that sort of thing and amplify Black voices. And, you know, I feel like especially with the Black Lives Matter movement and, you know, the George Floyds and the Sandra Blands and that sort of thing, and that posting like the Black square on Instagram and that sort of stuff. It's like, what exactly does that do? And you look at all of these,
you know what it does?
and
you know what it does? It makes people that sit up in like a roundtable meeting, like not this obviously, but like corporate roundtable meetings, they get to go and look, these are all the numbers we have participated.
Right.
That part. Exactly. It's like, oh yeah, we're really supporting the Negroes this month. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, but then afterwards, what are you doing? Where are you going with that? And especially like, I find it very interesting because I get emails from like Loudwire and Metal Hammer and that sort of stuff, and I didn't really see anything in regards to any sort of Black artists, you know, within our scene. And it's like, we're here.
Cammie got
we're
some
here.
Action. You know, Cammie Gilbert.
Yeah,
from Ocean Slumber. She got some. That was cool. But like, I know what you mean. I've been doing metal for years, and I've been in Metal Hammer.
right. More than me. So, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I honestly feel like a lot of it is performative for sure, and it, you know, it just doesn't feel, it hasn't felt genuine to me for a very long time.
Interesting. And how about you, Gabby? Because I see you doing your thing. You're making that effort yourself to make the diversity happen and make sure it's like practice throughout. Do you feel like your efforts are being met by the industry?
Yes and no. And even within that, I can tell sometimes it's performative. It's performative so I can check a box of how many Black, writers they have doing stuff or, stuff like that. But it's been, my thing has always been, I don't want to wait for someone else to represent or put what needs to be put in there, the way that it needs to be put in there. Yeah. So I just decided, instead of continuing to ask white people to do it correctly, I'd rather just do it by myself. So that way, it's direct. It's coming directly from me. And the other thing that I really like is that the companies that I am with, they've been supportive of that. And they've been the companies that say, we want to support, we want you to do this for us, but we also want to equally support what you have going on, because we see the value in it and we see how it's positively, impacting community and all that kind of stuff. Those are the companies that I prefer to work with. But I have been with ones that, I literally was just one of 2 Black girls that were on your roster of like literally thousands.
Tokens.
And then I mean, is one company I was with, when Black Lives Matter really got lit last year, I went to them and was like, what? Like, I'm not understanding. What, do you have a different internet provider or like a different CNN channel that shows something else? Because we've been talking about this repeatedly, and the thing that's really stressing me out is that there's 0 Black people on this. And I was actually told by a rep that they don't think that they have an issue with diversity because the company was founded by a man of color. That's great. That's not where it stops, and that's not, you haven't even touched inclusion. So like, what's the problem? So, girl.
Yeah, woo chow, right?
Yeah. Haven't you? Yeah, but don't you guys think that there's a bit of a backlash, right? There's this like quiet resistance to all of this, because I feel it. It's very much like this thing where they're like, oh, well, we know that this is a thing right now, but it's just a trend and it's going to die out like all other trends, and then things are just going to go back to normal. It's only because tensions are high because of pandemic, and that I feel that silence from certain companies or certain people even that just choose not to address these issues, which is fine. It's a choice. Like, I have a choice. I don't talk about anything political on social media. That's my choice, because I don't like to waste time in Twitter arguments or things like that. So like my thing is like I focus about music. I even talk about music, and I talk about film and like spooky shit. That's what I talk about. 1, 2, 3. That's it. I keep it very right. Social media is just a scope of who I am. It's not who I am. So I think that, for companies that are trying to connect in a real way, like Honey Child, like you were saying, like I've noticed Lincoln Center has been really good about it. I feel like places that are intertwined with art are about it. And then places that aren't intertwined with art are not about it. Like, for whatever reason, art people, and I feel like film people are more open-minded than your average music person or venue promoter for whatever reason. And, that's why I have been like entering the film space and doing more with like experiences, immersive experiences, VR, video, visual, all kinds of stuff like that, because I find that people there are more open-minded, which is weird, because you would think music people would be open-minded, but they're not really. They're more focused on the things that they like. It's very specific, when you get into like the art world, people are like, oh, I just want to see something unique. I just want to see something cool. I want to see a different story. I want to see, so I appreciate, like, I'm kind of like straddling those worlds right now for my own sanity.
Right. Okay. And then another thing I want to ask, because when you're outspoken, a Black woman in the industry, and you stand up for Black issues, and you venture into activism as well as performing art, has that been an issue for any of you ladies, especially recently? And if so, how do you navigate that and just stay true to yourselves?
Okay, so You go first. Go first.
Ooh, Meredith about to have some.
Yeah, Meredith,
I feel it, Meredith. I feel it. Meredith about to go off.
Okay. Right. So, all right.
We see it, sis.
I'm like, oh, okay. So there, I feel like it's definitely something that dates back to like the minstrel sort of times and that sort of thing. I feel like when you're a artist or performer, there's particular people who say that, oh, well, I'm just here to, be entertained. Like, I don't want to think about, political stuff and that sort of stuff. And then they start to complain. For instance, and this is why I got so hype about this. As people may or may not know, I am in the band with all white men, right? And when it got to the point where we were getting ready to record and You Wonder Why They Kneel, I went to my guys and I was like, listen, this is about some black ass shit. Okay. Are you guys going to be okay with this and me talking about this? And they were completely supportive. They were 110% completely in it. And they were just like, absolutely, Meredith, we are all for it. And then when we released it, then when we, released the video and that sort of thing, I definitely saw a few comments that were just like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Like, here we go with this again and that sort of thing. And it's like, but that's art, right? When you are a creative being and you get to the point where you want to talk about things that you're passionate about and that you feel about, that's your way of talking about those certain things. Like, you want to feel, that creative freedom to be able to express what you want to express, and especially being a Black woman in this particular industry, fans, people who really take this sort of music in, they're not used to that. They're not used to seeing that, and even with like, Black men and that sort of thing, like, I can count maybe on one hand, Black men today specifically, in the rock and metal industry who talk about those certain things. They're not a lot, and I feel like a lot of us feel that pressure to pander to that white audience because they don't want to feel,
especially Black men.
Come on, sorry. Period. That no, you're fine. No, I get it. Like, they don't want to feel like they're alienating their audience, because at the end of the day, like, it's all about the money. It's all about the streams. It's all about the people who are going to buy your merch. And if you start to alienate people and you're just like talking about this, that, and the third, then they're going to be like, well, I'm not supporting this band anymore. Like, this is bullshit, So yeah, there's definitely that pressure to be like, like, I don't know, should we or shouldn't we? So, but I feel like at the same time, it's like, if we don't talk about it, we as Black men and women in this sort of field, who's going to? No one else is going to speak up for us. They're not. So somebody has to.
Right. So, like, piggybacking off of what you're saying, I've had this conversation with several very successful Black men in rock and metal, right? Like the guys that are at the top of the game, right? And they're just like, I said, does anyone ever ask you this? Like, do journalists ask you this in interviews? They ask you to talk about it? Do you just like up and offer information? Do you talk about this kind of thing? And they all said a resounding no. Not at all. One of them actually said that he's never even asked those questions. And I was like, fascinating. I'm asked those questions every day. And I just go, why is that? What is the thing? And one guy that I spoke to about it, who's in one of the most commercially successful rock bands of all time, he was like, yeah, it's not part of our story, so I don't talk about it. And I was like, it's like, okay. But it's a choice. And I feel like as an artist and a business person, like, it's up to each individual to make that choice, what they're going to talk about, because I'm fully aware that a great big percentage of my base is not interested in the conversation we're having right now at all. You know, and like, that's fine, you know, but it's a choice to speak about it or not. And I choose to address it because I have no filter. But it also is a subject that is, I feel like, should not be taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And going along with that, Guitar Gabby, I appreciate that picture of you with your middle finger up. I thought it was fantastic. Thank you for just like doing your thing. I know you got a lot of fucking heat and blowback for that. And I was like, this is how it's done though. Yeah. I mean, it was like
ridiculous. It was
perfect. Like,
yeah,
it was perfect.
White people were tripping. Like they were, and the thing is, white people have always been tripping. Anything that I do, they are always tripping. But I'm usually like a hawk on my shit. I got 3 phones, okay? I stay with notifications on my trap phone because if I see something that says a nigger,
not the trap phone.
No, I'm being so serious. I literally have it up because when I don't want to be bothered with it, like I don't even want that type of stuff over here. Don't even come over here.
But you can't police all the comments though, right?
No, I know that. But if I see, like, it's usually the things that are pushed to the front, like the very first comment, and honestly, depending on what it is, like we had a situation where BuzzFeed did a video on us some years ago, and when it got posted on YouTube, white people were really just out of pocket, and they came and started spamming every single possible way to contact me. They spammed it with saying, fuck you, nigger, all over the comments, just, you know, everything. And at first, that was the first time something like that really had happened to me. So I wasn't really sure what to do with it. Yeah. And the main thing that I had walked away from with that experience is, you know, white people are those type of white people are going to do that for eternity. There's absolutely nothing that I can do to change that.
Right.
So, that being said,
rock and heavy metal blogs, the comments on there are notoriously the worst. They trash people that they like.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. You know? So like that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it's also easy for me to say this to you because I don't get that kind of heat. The heat I get is usually sexual. It's almost always sexual. Is the stuff that gets directed at me. You know, I've seen some hateful things about, you know, like filthy things that I must do as a rock person or a metal person. It's just like, it's so crazy. But I think for you, it's just like, that's how you know you're doing something right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because for them to react that strongly,
right? Exactly.
I mean, it's like you're doing something right for sure. I have a similar situation where I don't get that kind of heat from people, but I get banned in places. That's my thing. I get banned. I get kicked out of college, but I get banned. I'm banned from BAM. You know, I'm banned. You were there that night.
The pyrotechnics.
Yes. Yeah. I brought some fire into the venue. So that, you know, I got banned at colleges. You know, Catholic colleges banned my music. You know, like, so like I am fully familiar with like you know, people that are extremely turned off by like what you do and like your art, but just like keep in mind it's like not about you, it's definitely about something in them that has a problem with seeing your strength, right?
Yep.
So don't take it to heart.
It's very much how dare she every time we step on stage. And it's probably the thing that shocked me the most once I picked up the guitar, the reaction from just being a singer to like, oh my God, you like rock and roll and you're Black and you got the nerve to be the front person. Everything that we contribute is immediately discredited. You know, no one wants to believe. When I first had a band, it was all dudes behind me, but I taught them the music, but I'm just a singer. And being dismissed like that's not enough. There's so many layers to it. The main source of hate, I'm sad to say, has usually been male. I wish that wasn't the case. But I can't think of one situation where a woman or a non-cishet male tried to come for me for being a Black female rocker, not one. Since I joined the 1865 and really kind of went super deep with all these topics, that's a whole other level of hate, which I expected, but it's shocking how bent out of shape people will get to try to make you feel like what you're doing has no value. It's very shocking.
Right.
It's almost comical. Like sometimes I will read something and I'll just laugh, like, this can't be real. Like, this person put so much thought into this. Like, get a life. But they're really ruffled with the fact that the old way is expiring and that we're the new way. So it's very eye-opening, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Which is so wild to me because Black women as a whole had such an influential, like, you know, sort of situation when it comes to rock music.
Exactly.
As a whole. You know what I'm saying? We're so it's the story of rock and roll as a whole is very whitewashed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they never want to give us credit.
Nope.
Right? But when you think of people like Sister Rosetta Tharpe and that sort of thing, it's like we were really the blueprint when it comes to the music that you're listening to.
Yeah.
So it really should be an issue that we're in this. We're like,
and then they try to exclude us from it too. Like even just as a fan and a concert goer, like I remember one guy approached me at a concert and wanted to offer to buy me a lemonade because he thought I was working at the show. He didn't see me as a fan or a concert goer. He saw me as someone working at the venue. And they came up to me and asked me that. Like, it's ridiculous the way people try to exclude Black women from literally anything. It's ridiculous. And it's like we had to fight 10 times harder to exist in something we created because Sister Rosetta Tharpe started this whole thing and she's just now getting the recognition. So I really think it's important that we have these conversations because, like, you ladies, each one of you are like the blueprint for the new generation. And I give you guys so much respect because the doors and the pain and the suffering you ladies have to go through just to be great as you are is going to make it easier for the next woman coming along. And you ladies deserve all of your props for that, I swear. And I know it's frustrating, even as someone asking questions as a journalist. I get that flack. I get that flack on my YouTube channel. Someone like randomly commenting my videos talking about big tit nigger and this, that, and the whatever. Like, people are just insane. Like, what is it about me and me sharing my experiences that bothers you so much that you had to respond that way and tell me that I don't belong in this space that was created by someone that looks like me? Like,
because they know that they can attack you, that you're gonna see it, and they get to be anonymous.
They're cowards,
right? And the anonymity on the internet is like atrocious. It's like it's like people can hide behind a keyboard and say what they want, but when they're in your face, can't do the, you know, they got.
They would never have the balls to say that to your face. By the way.
Right.
They know they would never say it to her face. No.
One of my favorite lyrics Beyonce blessed us with was from Black Parade. And she said, "Baby, we have been past them. That's the reason why they always mad and they always have. I just don't know what to do."
Well,
Beyonce. I love Beyonce too because I love that she employs a lot of Black women that wanted to pursue rock and metal for her live bands. I love the fact that she does that. She gives them that space on her stage to like showcase their talent. And that's something that she does not get a lot of credit for, but I'm glad she does it because, you know, she really looks out for Black women. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys was about being the new blueprint for the new generation, because you guys are paving the way for the young ladies of today. I wanted to know, who was your blueprint back when there weren't many to like look at or to be influenced by? Who was a blueprint blueprint for rock and metal for you? Any Black woman rocker or not?
For me,
I guess
yeah. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say for me, Nona Hendrix, because even though people consider her R&B, I immediately related to her. And after reading Maureen Mann's Black Diamond Queens, I realized how much influence she had on early rock as well. And then guitar-wise, Barbara Lynn is somebody I look up to. Yeah, just seeing Black people play rock and roll let me know from an early age it's my birthright. So I never felt like it was something foreign to do ever, despite everything in society saying otherwise.
Right. And how about you, Gabby?
To be honest, I think that I pulled a lot of inspiration from bits and pieces of different people that did and did not exist in the beginning of my journey. And what I mean by that is, like, I am a huge fan of Kurt Cobain. Like, that nigga was, I love Kurt Cobain. Most of the reason why I love Kurt Cobain is because when I really started, like, what drew me to Nirvana was the lyrics. It was the amount of passion that I could feel in the way that he played his chords. And, you know, to a guitar expert, some people would say, oh, you know, that's just a simple ass power chord. Okay, but that was one bad motherfucking power chord progression that Smells Like Teen Spirit had. So much so that when you hear that first chord 500 years later, you already know what song it is. And I love that. And then I started reading more about his life, and I saw that he actually had so much that went on that, I don't know, I guess I figured, listening to how much passion he put in the lyrics, the way he sang, the way that he played, I knew he had to be pulling something from somewhere, but I was trying to figure out what was it. Then I started learning and reading that it was from all of the bad things that were going on around him, but he took it and wrote it into a song that is called Smells Like Teen Spirit, that we still literally probably be one of the most iconic grunge rock songs ever. And I think that that's powerful. I took a lot of inspiration from Kurt Cobain, and honestly, my mom. Like, just watching my mom, she wasn't in rock. My mom is not musically inclined at all. But what my mom is a powerhouse, and she's the strongest Black woman that I saw, you know, in my life growing up and still see. And I don't know, she's just always pushed me to just, when you don't see a blueprint in your sight, you know, make one of your own. And the more that you learn, you know, don't be too prideful to ask and learn things, and take that and put it in your blueprint. And then I learned the sisters at a Thorpe when I became an adult, and I wish that I would have learned of her when I was younger. But, you know, just seeing and reading and all that kind of stuff has really pushed me to continue shifting what a blueprint might look like that I can directly give to my kids, or, you know, to the other kids that we teach in camps, or even just people, you know, just creating our own shit. So that was a long-winded answer, but yeah.
Awesome. And how about you, Militia?
Well, my dad is a record collector, so he used to, like, force me to go to my room and, like, listen to albums and things like that. And so he'd be like, "You're my daughter, and you're gonna listen to King Crimson." And, like, I'd be like, "Okay." And I'd, like, go upstairs and, like, put on headphones. And I'm an only child, clearly. And I would lay on the ground and just, like, stare at the ceiling and try to figure out how the parts moved together, and, like, how the sounds were made. And, like, I would just kind of, like, trip to it and try to figure out, like, what do these guys know that I don't know? Like, how did they figure out how to put music together? Like, how did they figure out these were the right lyrics for this music? And, like, I would just try to, like, break it down in my head, you know? So definitely, like, psychedelic rock bands that my dad forced me to listen to. you know, like Iron Butterfly. And,
I was going to say Iron Butterfly.
Yeah, and Led Zeppelin, and you know, Jimi Hendrix, and like all this kind of shit. Traffic. And then he also liked doo-wop and like the 1950s girl groups. So I listened to a lot of girl groups like early on, which like those kind of oldies are like kind of melancholy, you know. So I really like them. There's like a melancholy undertone to a lot of them for some reason. So I would listen to like Little Richard was, I guess, the first blueprint for me, because he was the first loudmouth singer I remember hearing, where I was like, what the fuck? Like, I want to sing like that. Like, that's completely obnoxious. Right. I love it. You know, so like, you know, I like the loud singers like him, and like, you know, who else is a loudmouth singer? The Shouters, you know what I'm saying? And then from that, it progressed to Tina Turner. My mom dragged me to a Tina Turner concert when I was really little. And I was like, ugh, like, you don't want to hear your mom's music, right? And I was like, man, like, I don't want to go see this. Like, you know, I want to go see Duran Duran. And like, she's just like, we're going to see Tina. And like, I'm like, all right. And it changed me. Like, she came out on stage and she looked like me, you know, and she had like hair, and like, she was wearing this tight ass leather dress, and like, her skin was all sweaty, and like, she looked all fucking hot with her fucking red lips and her teeth, and she's like in high heels, and I was just like, fuck yeah, I can do that. You know, so that was cool. But I think like the ultimate influences really were, it was my music would be like the Riot Girl bands from the 90s, like L7, you know, 7 Year Bitch, Hole, Bikini Kill, all those girls that were like, they weren't like Babes in Toyland, like they weren't doing like the girly thing, but they were still like ferociously feminine, you know, like they're just like, they were aggressive like the boys, but they were still very much women, you know. So that was like a real turning point, like, oh shit, like, you don't have to be the damsel in distress, you know, as a lot of women in music are kind of set up to be, you know. They were very much in control of their power. So that was, I think, the ultimate gateway drug for me.
And how about you, Meredith?
So I have a few. My biggest inspiration in my entire life is my grandfather. I started singing because of him. He was a pianist, and played in the church. So I joined the youth choir because of him. And he just had this big, like, boisterous, just very low, just almost like James Earl Jones sort of voice. Very much so, yes. And he was really one that just got me into being a musician as a whole. I was raised by my grandparents, so he just had a huge influence on me. And I want to say two Black musicians specifically. The first one being Alexis Brown from Straight Line Stitch. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. I will never forget this night. I had to have been no older than 17 or 18. I was still in high school, and I love this particular band from Richmond. I'm a native of Richmond, Virginia, called Saint Diablo, and they were opening for Straight Line at this hole in the wall bumfuck bar called Alley Cats in Richmond.
That is one of the best bands ever, by the way.
Oh my God, right? And so I remember like seeing them, and I was like, yeah, Saint Diablo, blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, I see this girl come on with these like really long box braids, and she's like covering her face with them. And all of a sudden they go into Black Veil. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, wait, what? Hold on. Was she
like, bitch, where? Like, what?
I remember that video. The video for Black Veil.
Yes, I love Alexis so very much. And then lastly, my baby daddy of my own mind, Howard Jones from Killswitch Engage, formerly of Killswitch Engage. But I remember the first time I ever saw Killswitch was at Taste of Chaos with My Chemical Romance and The Used. again, still in high school, and just seeing this big old, just like stocky, just completely fit Black man just screaming his lungs out. That was the moment where I was like, I want to be a screamer. Like, I don't know how I'm going to figure it out, but I am going to scream for a metal band. Just like seeing people that looked like me being able to do what they did was just one of those things that was just like etched into my mind. So one day I'm going to do a song with Howard Jones. I'm putting that out there in the universe. Just
yes,
that is going to happen.
Existence.
Hallelujah. So yes, those are my influences.
Okay, awesome. How about you, honey child? Did you?
I mean, I already went. I talked about and Barbara Lynn, but
I just want to circle back.
Yeah. I feel like everyone kind of dabbled in those other influences.
I didn't go yet. Y'all been skipping me. Well, shoot, now that you ask. I mean, I feel like it usually starts with our parents, right? For Black folks, it's our like ancestry, it's our family. So like I said, it was my grandma, but then I found out my mom was actually a metalhead when she was younger, like in high school. Like she was into like Van Halen and, you know, like all of those like hair metal, like glam and stuff. So I was like, Van Halen's okay, but I feel like I like grunge, right? Guitar Gabby knows what I'm talking about. So it was Nirvana, actually. I was like huge Kurt Cobain fan. But then I was like, I like kind of like girl grunge, and then it was Hole. And then I found out about Tina Bam actually like when I was like actually 2012. And then I forgot about her until like this year. And I was like, Tina Bell is one of my biggest like Black rocker inspirations for sure. Cause she like, this whole genre basically belongs to her, like hard rock and grunge, you know? Like come through for that truth, you know? So yeah, Tina Turner, Militia Vox, shout out, Tina Bell, and then grunge, hair metal. How about you, Kim? You haven't gone yet.
I would say for me, Karen Crisis is definitely one of them. I just love her voice and I love how she sounds. I love her music and her lyricism too. I felt like a lot of her lyrics resonated with me at a very young age. And then I would say OTEP too, because OTEP was just very loud, aggressive, and she was always talking about her feelings, and she's very political. In terms of Black rocker women, I would say Alexis Brown too, because she just had a swag to her that was just incredible. Like her voice, just owning the fact that she was Black, wearing the box braids, swinging them, like windmilling them. Like I was
her
like,
her
very
weaves
impressed.
were always on point. Can we talk about those bundles? Those bundles. Alexis, that sis never had her bundles looking wrecked. They were always on point. Okay, come on.
At all. At all. I just felt like, she was just owning it. So I just feel like those were a lot of influences for me. So someone actually had a good question in the group chat. They were asking, what is the worst and best thing about being a Black woman in the metal and rock industry? And also, did you get a lot of support from Black men in the industry as well? I thought that was a very good question.
Yeah, thanks, Ali. Oof. Who wants to start?
What was the first part?
What's the worst and best thing about being a Black woman in the rock and metal industry? And the second one was, did you get a lot of support from Black men?
Okay, so I would say the best and worst thing is being unique. That's the best and the worst thing. Is being unique. Did I get support from Black men? I mean, what kind of support are we talking about here? I mean, sure, I guess, like in a way that like sometimes they show up to my shows, but or they write me nice comments or send me, dick pics. What else can I say? I don't know. There's been some, and then there's not been some. I don't know. It's been very like whatever. I don't really pay attention to that. I don't know. It's been both. I've seen negative reactions from Black men, and I've seen positive reactions from Black men. With Swear in Your Life, my old band, it was predominantly, a white male backing band behind me. And like, I don't know. I think that it's just up to the music. I try not to overthink this shit. You know, it's really up to the music. Does what I say or the sounds and the noise that I create resonate with you? Cool. If it does, I want to hear about it. If it doesn't, sure. I love hate mail just like the next person. Probably more so, because then I like to see what people detest about me, because I find it fascinating. You know, so like I'm not. I don't judge in that way, but I just I've come to peace with the fact that I'm such an anomaly, that I do and make weird shit for my type. But I don't get hung up on it anymore. I used to. I don't get hung up on it anymore, because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? All that matters is, do I make good shit or bad shit? That's all that matters. So ultimately, I don't want to get bogged down with, you know, are the strikes against me going to keep me down in this world? No, hell fucking no.
Okay. Awesome. I love that response. How about you, Honey Child?
And when did they become strikes? I'm sorry, Honey Child, but like, I just wanted to bring that up because my mom said this to me, and maybe your moms or your parents said a similar thing to you, where they said, you've got 2 strikes against you in this world. You're Black and you're female. And I'm like, when did those become strikes?
Right.
Fuck you all. Like, when are those strikes? I feel fucking good being Black and female. I don't know about anyone else, but
me too.
I feel sexy being Black and female.
Absolutely.
And and like, I don't know. I don't have any other experience. I wouldn't know what it would feel like to be anything else. And I don't really care, you know, but I don't feel cheated or slighted being a Black female in this life at all.
No.
And rant.
And not wanting to be Black and female is not what motivates me to pick up a guitar or scream into a mic. I agree with you. Being unique is a plus and a minus as far as what makes it good and also a challenge. As far as Black male support goes, when I first put together a rock band, it was Black men who pushed me, and they stepped up to learn the music and gave me those pointers on how to be independent and how to be brave and how to be on top of my gear and make sure that I come correct and how to talk to sound people and all those things we deal with as Black rockers, period. They didn't leave me flapping in the wind. They're like, oh, this is what you're doing. Boom. Make sure you do this. Have I gotten negative feedback? Absolutely. Because again, we don't fit the stereotype of what people think. Like, I'm not a glam person. I'm pretty nonconformist, sometimes bordering on androgynous. And then like, to be an older Black person who likes punk and metal and grunge, and I don't give a shit if everything gets blurred. And maybe I'm a little hard to book, but I like what I do. So at the end of the day, I'm like Alicia. I want to make the best music, and I don't care otherwise. But the support is definitely there. It's just a matter of not looking at it as strikes. It's like, I'm Black and I'm a woman. Who's with me? Who likes rock? I don't want to be tolerated. I want to be celebrated. So those are the people I try to surround myself with.
Okay. And how about you, Gabby?
I would say the best and the worst parts are one, just being able to be yourself. I think that Black women literally run the world, so you all are welcome. And I also feel like the only downside, I guess, if you depending on how you look at it, but the only downside can sometimes be the stress, just because, you know, I feel like as Black women, we always have to wear this like on cap, and turning that off sometimes to simply just have it off because we deserve can be hard to do, especially for me, because I'm most productive when I'm super busy. I like having my hands in a lot of different things because I just, you know, the passion drives it. and I'm more productive and, you know, have more to, I think, to give. But sometimes I struggle with taking off the on hat and saying like, okay, so do you know what the word nothing means, Gabby? Do you like, can we just sit down this weekend? And I'm having one of those weekends now. So, well, I'm trying to at least, but you know, that's that. But then in terms of like support from Black men, I would say generally we've gotten support. I've definitely had Black men who do support me, and truthfully, those are really the only ones that matter. But that doesn't mean that I don't see or hear sometimes the other things, because you know, being, you know, a Black female musician, being in those spaces of just musicians, a Honey Child knows what I'm talking about. Being in those spaces with male musicians like at NAMM, it is just, it's unbelievable in a very horrible way. And sometimes
the
it's
sausage
like,
fest.
Yeah.
I think the sausage fest is hilarious. I have to laugh. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I just
and I love how it gets more irrelevant with each passing year. I just feel like, it's like, you hang on to those crumbs, my friends. Hang on.
Right, exactly. And I just a little interview and keep it pushing. Go back to my hotel. Used to wearing mind my business, but yeah. So, but the people, you know, for every one person, or you know, one Black guy out there that doesn't support or doesn't get what I'm doing, or simply just flat out doesn't like it, you know, the support that I do get, honestly, mostly from Black women, really does enough for me. You know, the other support is very much appreciated, and I definitely love that. But just being able to join up with sisters in rock and roll, like that right there is something that I don't think that I ever had like in a corporate workspace. So I feel super blessed and humbled to be in this part of history that we're making, where Black women are literally just doing it because we said so, and like it's not a question. And I'm really happy to be
absolutely.
See, that's the good stuff, isn't it? Like I just I think that we all can't help what we like. I mean, it's this, to me, like it's as simple as sexuality, right? It's like you're attracted to the things you're attracted to, and like any of us will tell you, like we can't help but make the music that we make. Like we got tapped, we got called to do the music that we're making, and like the way I see it is like, I'm not McDonald's. I don't have to have a million served. I don't have to make sure that the food tastes the same from town to town. I don't care, you know? So I'm just like, my thing is providing like at least an authentic and exciting experience. That's like the best that I hope for.
And how about you, Meredith?
I would definitely say that the worst thing for me is people trying to downgrade my accomplishments simply because of my color. People making up sort of situations or lies or this false narrative because they don't want to see me succeed because I'm Black. There was a particular situation, I really don't want to go into it, but that I suffered this past year that has been particularly difficult on me personally, because people were, I don't know if it was jealousy or whatever it was, but there were definitely a lot of racial undertones with it, where it's like, wow, y'all really thought that I did that? Like, ooh, okay. That part sucks. But I will say that trying to focus on the positive has been like really where I'm at right now. And I'd say kind of going into that, the best thing about this is really setting the standard for women who are going to come after me. Like, I will say that I've been like really big on TikTok recently. I don't know why, like people like me on that TikTok. Right. Like apparently people really like me on that app. Like it is what it is. But I remember specifically doing a cover of like a rap song where I was screaming and it went viral, has like over 1 million likes, that sort of thing. And a lot of the comments that I saw, people were just like, specifically Black people, specifically more so Black women, were like, I wish I had you when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Which for me is huge because I'm like, fuck, I wish I had me growing up. The fuck, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so be able to set that standard and be like, yes, I am a Black woman. Yes, I enjoy rock and metal. Yes, I enjoy playing rock and metal as a musician. Yes, it is possible for you to do this. And really getting over that stereotype that we need to be fit in this certain box. Do you know what I mean? Like, that for me has been the most rewarding. And as far as going back to the Black male issue, I haven't really received a lot of like hate, honestly, from Black men. A lot of it has been incredibly positive, especially from men in the industry, specifically LaJean Witherspoon from Seven Dust, Corey Glover from Living Color, guys who have come before me who have been very, very successful in this industry and who have been very, very like knowledgeable about, you know, how things work and just really supportive of me and my band and what it is that I want to do and what I want to accomplish. And even just coming from like fans, like, I really can't think of anything specific that I've received that's been negative specifically from Black men. Like, and for me, it's just, again, been that whole narrative of, wow, I wish I had this growing up. Like, I wish I could have seen somebody. I wish I had that representation, you know, coming up. So, yeah, I mean, everything for me personally has been positive.
Awesome. Okay, if someone had a question in the group, they Lord Bishop wanted to know if any of you ladies had an interest in starting a record label to move the Black rock forward.
Hey, I don't think I answered the last question again. Yo.
Oh no, go ahead. Oh, Nicole. All right.
What was the question?
Sorry. Okay. What's the best and worst thing about being a Black woman in the rock and metal industry? And do you see a lot of support from Black men?
Oh, the best thing by far is just how many of us there are. Even if the industry tries to whitewash us, even if we don't seem like we're visible, once you emerge and you kind of look around and you see Militia and you see Guitar Gabby and you see Meredith, you're like, it's an entire panorama of Blackness, if that makes sense. Like, that's been the most rewarding thing for me. And to see like Black femmes too. The worst part is that because we have that solidarity with each other, is people specifically being like, I don't like that, break that shit up. And I'm like, see, y'all see, we have a good thing going. Don't try to come on because you see we have like our own round table, Black rock her moment, you know? This is our time and we're trying to shine. So people got to respect that. But I think because we're on the verge of something new, people are trying to like intercept that, if that makes sense, because they want it to be about them. So that's kind of been the worst part. In terms of like support, best and worst part's been support and I guess hate from Black men, because on the one hand, when I came out as non-binary, they were super supportive, but then they were not. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I love that. All right.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I would say I don't think there's a worst thing about being a Black woman in the industry. I think it's great to be, I think it's a privilege to be quite honest. But I will say, yes, I have seen a lot of support from Black men too. And I've also seen some Black men that panders and that needs to be called out. And I guess I'm going to wrap this up and we're going to ask one last question for you ladies. What are your future plans for 2021, and what message do you have for the Black Rockers community? Who wants to? Militia, you want to start?
Sure. I'm releasing a bunch of music. During the pandemic, I did a bunch of projects. And so I've got 2 solo albums coming out, 2 Judas Priestess singles coming out, a single with orchestral metal band The Vaticans out of LA. We have a single and a video coming out. And started a new heavy metal band. And that'll be coming out this year as well. But that's under wraps as far as the details. So, but trust me, it'll be worth the wait.
Awesome. And how about you, Gabby?
We have a few virtual concert situations that will be coming out later this year. And then I also have a little trap, record situation. Thought I would try my hand at a little rap, just for fun. So I'm gonna release that. And then I also have a new song called The Reclamation that will be coming out later on this year. And it's basically just talking about how we are literally reclaiming everything because you can't have it. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. And then just my usual educating the kids and the legal thing, just all of it. Just continuing to push for Black females out there.
Congrats again with PRS and Guitar World. So dope.
Thank you.
So dope.
Thank you so much. Well, actually, and I am working on something, hopefully down the road. A couple of things, but PRS has been very, very, very supportive. So I appreciate them. If any of my reps or Paul himself might be watching. Hi.
And how about you, Meredith?
What I have going on?
Yeah, what are your future plans for 2021?
Okay, so new record. That's really where we're at right now. Palace Burn, we are writing and writing and writing. We have currently, I want to say, about 5 or 6 new songs in the works that I'm really, really excited about. They're so amazing. And then also we're planning on doing a live stream concert with our friends in a band called Huxley. They are local to the Philadelphia area like we are. So more details on that very, very soon. We're looking at maybe like summer on doing that and making that happen. So yeah, just new music in the works and just really hustling to try and get that project out for sure.
And how about you, Honey Child?
Well, I'm in 6 bands. No. The 1865 is in the middle of mixing a live album we did in Woodstock at Applehead. And we're also doing music for an upcoming TV series. I'm also doing a new electronic album with DJ Olive that I just found out about yesterday. So I'm pretty psyched. It's like someone I've recorded with a lot. It's like the first DJ crew I ever worked with. So super fun. And he's open to all my ideas, thank God.
Fantastic.
I have a punk electronic band with my partner Criterion called Ga. We've been doing some political stuff since the election, so we're working on our EP, and I think that's it.
Okay, awesome.
A lot of recording, a lot of writing. Yep.
Awesome. Everybody's productive this year, and I'm glad. I'm happy. So much stuff to look forward to. And Nicole, did you want to mention any plans you have for 2021?
Honestly, I'm just happy to see all of us thriving. Myself, I have a new EP I'm trying to come out with by the end of 2021 called Samsara. Yeah. Dark wave gothiness, first one. We'll see how it goes. And then hanging out with Brew Media, hanging out with you, my metal sib. How about you?
Yes. And me, I just working on the brew, focusing on educating myself on editing and stuff, and also wellness. That's the number one priority for me right now, is just wellness. And I guess that's all I have to look forward to in 2021, and just getting better, And I just want to thank you ladies for for coming together and doing this incredible roundtable discussion. We are so blessed and honored to have you here. And I wanted to also give a special shout out to Breonna Taylor, to acknowledge her today, because this is the 1 year anniversary where she was killed, and we are still fighting for you, sis. We are still fighting for you and your family, and we hope that you get justice. And thank you guys so much, the Brew community. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. I think this was our best live stream yet. The comments and all the love. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for coming here and just enjoying this chat and asking your questions. And we will hopefully try to do this again, because we love having these discussions and just having you ladies here to share your experiences in an environment where you're supported and not challenged. So I think that's very important. So thank you guys. Okay, I think Michelle came back.
Thank you.
All right.
See you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for coming, our friends.
Thanks. Peace, love, and all that.
Thank you.
Peace and love.
Ooh.
Awesome.